Hey guys, back again. Now I want to talk about how these gang stalkers will capitalise on trauma. This is usually trauma that they have created, and once they have the target low, they will really start to pile on and try and drive the target into the ground. I also want to talk about the character of the stalkers and how that there's no low that these deranged lunatics will not stoop to. These are, of course, my experiences only. Now, trauma has come in cycles throughout my life. I've been able to succeed to a point, and then I am dropped with a devastating trauma. That's when they seize the opportunity and they pile on top and make things worse. Being dropped from an elevated height, of course, makes the low that much lower. Before my targeting, I used to believe I was the unluckiest man alive. Not only was bad luck happening in threes, but it was happening tenfold. This is when they really go for gold. They have your suicide in the forefront of their mind. They're also creating stresses to the body and memories which they can capitalise on later. It all builds up. Once they have you down, they will not ease up. You have to pick yourself up. For me, that is done by drawing on past experiences and seeing the strength that I had to get through. Okay, so I've got a few examples. I have two photos here. The one on the left is about 7 years old, and that is me lying in bed with a broken back. Now, during this time, I was being gaslit by doctors. It was absolute agony for me to move. I had a piece trapped in the spinal column that was tugging on the sciatic nerve, so to even move was agony. And I had doctor after doctor gaslighting me and telling me that I just had to get active, do cycling, do swimming, and I would later see a physio that said if I did that, I would be a jellyfish pretty much. So I had doctors trying to cause physical trauma. I'm also mostly bedbound at this time, and they were shooting me with frequencies that were just blowing up my throat, and it was basically fusing to my chest. This particular photo here, I hadn't eaten for 7 days. I remember it all too well. I hadn't eaten for 7 days, and I could barely even sip water. Well, I rang my father. I could barely even talk. I rang my father and sort of broke down and said, I think I'm dead, I'm dying. And even though he lived around the corner, he did nothing to help. So this was certainly a scenario where they all piled on. I was also receiving no benefits from work, even though the incident initially happened at work. They of course blew it out and made it a lot worse, but this was a pretty rough time. You can see on the photo on the right there, it's the only one that I had the brains to take a photo of. I used to be a lot worse. They used to hit my face with, I don't know what, but that they would distort my face. You can see the right side of my jaws blown out at the back. That they would really hit me and deform my face. So that they were capitalising on that initial back injury there and making things a lot worse. While I'm fighting my own battles, the bastards are working on Mum. She breaks her ankle, not long after breaks her arm in 2 places, and is then shot in the heart and taken to hospital. She's in intensive care for almost 3 weeks, and I'm not told, but she already has aggressive adrenal gland cancer. My family tell me that she has dementia and has to go straight to a home. I'm still getting the runaround from the doctors, so I'm getting drugged to the eyeballs on Oxycontin and Endone and popping in and seeing Mum almost every day. The staff are telling me how bad a patient she is, and the residents are telling me that she's not welcome. Watching her slowly slip away is really starting to take a toll. They then schedule my surgery. I go to hospital where I'm left to wait over 6 hours in a packed waiting room while it completely empties, The woman at reception saying they forgot about me. During this whole time I had to stand due to the nature of the injury. While I'm there, I'm gaslit and exposed to a lot of street theatre, the nurses particularly immature. Anyway, I'm taken into theatre where I can remember the anaesthesiologist gaslighting me, pretending that he couldn't find a vein in my hand. He's already pricked me about 8 times and I'm getting really frustrated as I'm about to go under. Anyway, they perform the surgery, they remove the piece, and there's instant relief, although a lot of numbness. I then start to ease into things, still going to the home, then eventually work months later on light duties. My mum's health then rapidly declines and my father decides to have her read the last rites. She's drip-fed morphine, her thirst quenched with a wet sponge, and no longer fed. I'm the only one in the room as Mum passes, as they want this to be very personal. At Mum's funeral, her sisters aren't even there. It is full of people that I've never seen before that are void of emotion. Well, I break down and I notice them all looking at me, feeding off my energy. It is the sickest experience that I've ever felt. After returning to work from bereavement leave, I was gaslit. My boss said they couldn't pay me for this time off. Well, unfounded allegations were then made against me and I was stood down from a 9-year job. I then had to go through the legal system. First Fair Work, where I settled. I then had to sue for my back injury. Well, the lawyer was in on this and strung out the case for over 3 years. And due to financial hardship and my own sanity, I had to let it go. During this time of financial hardship, I was given advice from a lawyer to pull out all my superannuation. I did so, was smart enough to pay off this place, but I really started to medicate with booze and drugs. I had a lot of money, I was at my lowest, and that's when they decided to go overt with my targeting. They capitalised on the moment. Okay, so that is the most traumatic period of my life that I can recollect. There's a lot that I've blanked out from childhood, and there's a lot that I don't want to know, to be honest. But they keep using this period to refresh and create new traumas. Whether it be to mock me because I don't work anymore, which they've taken that away. They'll mock my broken back. They'll use my mother's name, or I'll overhear them saying how great their own mothers are. They'll follow me into the graveyard. Even the police will put a speed camera mounted on a grey car adjacent to where my mother's grave is in the graveyard, which is really sick stuff. So, yeah, this is a difficult one for me to recount. I can't, I can't get through talking about Mum and that time without bawling like a baby. I'll be honest. There's been many takes, but I just want people to know what sort of animals. Well, animals is too kind a word. What sort of just filthy creatures live in your neighbourhood that are capable of stalking and trying to psychologically wear someone down, which is just, it's mind-blowing that it exists, and far more people do it than you could even imagine. So, all right, guys, until next time, I love you. Oh, shit, there's a bird's just gone through. That's Cheeks, living up to the name. All right, guys, I love yous all. Take care, bye. I almost forgot this charming individual. He very much deserves a place in this video now. This was taken the day after I attempted suicide. I attempted it twice. It was intervened, thank God. But this arsehole comes screaming between the truck and I. He nearly wiped himself out trying to get in front of me, so I could read the back of his windscreen at a set of lights. I've zoomed in here. I apologise for the language, but it says, "Go kill yourself, C." Then you have a penis drawn, and he says, "F you, dog." And this was just after my failed suicide attempts. So, yeah, that is the calibre of person that participates in gang stalking. All right, guys, I'm off again. Bye.